Tonight on CTV, we explore where students can legally smoke cannabis, and if they know that.
Out-of-state students are wooed for the money they bring to the university.
So do you think the cost of out-of-state tuition is worth it to you?
No, it's not.
And we bring you more on the CSU baseball team's win-filled weekend.
All that and more from the people you know, starting now. Good evening, Rams. I'm Matt Leisman.
And I'm Emily Mashak. Let's jump in. 2 people have died in Colorado avalanches in the past 2 weeks. Salvador Garcia Atanse and another unnamed man both died while skiing alone near Telluride in late February and early March. Garcia Atanse was skiing near Bear Creek, which the San Miguel County Sheriff's Office warned is not a safe place to ski. The Colorado Avalanche Information Center warns skiers to always go in groups, constantly monitor snow conditions rather than just checking them at the start of the day, and to decide as a group whether or not to go at all. For more information on avalanche safety, you can visit colorado.gov/CAIC or avalanche.org.
The city of Fort Collins held the groundbreaking ceremony for the new city-run broadband network, Fort Collins Connection, last Thursday. Residents, officials, and city contractors gathered at the Fort Collins Utility Center to celebrate the construction of the network, which began in November. Mayor Wade Troxel spoke on the community's involvement. He said it would have been impossible to get this far if the city hadn't voted to overturn SB 152, which prevents Colorado towns from running their own internet services. Aaron Shanley, the Fort Collins broadband marketing manager, said the network will not only provide high-speed internet to residents, but also prepare the city for the future.
The fiber is really the investment, and the equipment can change. And depending on where technology goes in the future, our network's going to be sort of future-proofed to move forward with that.
Rocky Mountain High School was put on lockout Friday after 19-year-old Jonathan Snelling was seen pacing the property with a knife on his belt. According to the Coloradoan, police said he initially refused commands but ultimately complied and was taken safely into custody. Police ask anyone with information about the incident to contact Crime Stoppers at 970-221-6868.
Over 6,500 of CSU's 22,000 undergraduates are non-residents. This is nearly 30% of the undergraduate student body, a percentage that has been steadily growing every year. However, non-resident students still pay over twice as much money for tuition than their in-state counterparts. Why does this happen? Shrinking funding from the state government is causing CSU to look elsewhere for cash, and increasing enrollment of non-resident students is a good way to make money. Today, I took to the streets to see how non-resident students feel about their tuition.
All right, so where are you from originally?
I'm from Austin, Texas.
All right, and what brought you to CSU?
I played horse polo in high school, and so I wanted to be on the CSU varsity polo team. And I was for 2 years.
I came to Colorado State because I wanted a change of weather. I came from San Diego, California, so there was a lot of sun there, and I wanted to get to a college where I was going to be able to snowboard.
The mountains primarily, I think. Knew I wanted to come to Colorado, and I went to Boulder, and I liked the people here better, is what made me choose CSU.
I just wanted to change the scenery and was really drawn to everything that Fort Collins had to offer, as well as the campus life that CSU has.
Yeah.
And so do you think the cost of out-of-state tuition is worth it to you?
No, it's not.
I think it is worth how much you have to pay for it. There's a lot of good programs in place to help students from out-of-state out.
No, I don't think it's worth it for anybody. You should get in-state residency, or you should spend 2 years at Front Range, is what I would say.
I would say yes. I mean, it's definitely pretty considerable difference than what in-state tuition is, but I feel like the experience and the opportunities that you get when you go out of state and come to Colorado State are so definitely worth it. Yeah.
Big changes may be coming to oil and gas in Colorado. According to CNBC, Colorado State Democrats introduced the most significant regulations the state has seen in 60 years. Lawmakers introduced the legislation on Friday. Senate Bill 181, Protect Public Welfare Oil and Gas Operations, would give cities and counties more influence over regulation, including inspecting oil and gas facilities and imposing fines over spills. It would also change the mission of the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission from fostering the development of the state's fossil fuels to regulating the industry. Industry groups accuse lawmakers of dropping legislation on Friday and rushing a state Senate hearing. The effort to overhaul regulations and the state's Oil and Gas Commission follows the defeat of new restrictions on fossil fuel development last year.
Colorado's former Governor John Hickenlooper joined the growing field of Democratic candidates working to unseat President Donald Trump in 2020. On Monday, the brewer, geologist, and former mayor announced he would be running his campaign references his background in issues like healthcare and environmental protections. Hickenlooper is one of 13 Democrats who have thrown their hat in the ring.
Curious about where you can actually legally smoke marijuana in the city of Fort Collins? Reporter Isabella Roberts has your answer.
I hit the plaza to see if students know where it is legal to consume marijuana.
I know that it's legal in the privacy of your own home because it's recreational. And I know that, to my knowledge, there's no designated areas in public that you can smoke, to my knowledge. So that's about all I know.
In your house, I think. I don't think anywhere public, like a friend's house or something probably, but I think that's it.
As long as it's your own property and if you're over 21, obviously.
In the state of Colorado, I believe it's legal to consume marijuana on private property and illegal to do so on public property.
Students were correct. The best place to consume marijuana in the city of Fort Collins by law is in a privately owned home.
Marijuana is still illegal under federal law, making it illegal in federal parks and on federal land.
According to the Fort Collins Police Department, if you have actual physical control of a running vehicle, such as being in the driver's seat, and are consuming marijuana, you are subject to the action of law enforcement.
Similar to alcohol laws, you cannot have an open container, including a container with a broken seal, in the passenger cab of a vehicle.
Though law enforcement cannot enforce your leasing agreement with your landlord, if the lease is broken, you may be subject to fines or dispute settlement in a civil court of law.
For more information, you can visit co.gov.
Just when I thought winter was thawing into spring, snow dumped on Fort Collins this weekend. Hannah, what more can we expect this month?
Yeah, so actually, historically, March has been the most fluctuating in terms of weather for Fort Collins. We've seen highs ranging from the 40s all the way to the 70s since 2010. However, the snowfalls are also usually the most prominent in March, but those have been shifting more towards February and December. That being said, we can probably still see oscillations throughout the month. We will see oscillations throughout the month.
Well, I hope we have more of that 70-degree weather than the 40-degree weather.
Yeah, that sounds pretty nice to me. And honestly, it's been nice seeing the sun these past few days. When it gets gray, it is just difficult to stay positive.
I agree. I am ready for some springtime. Well, thank you for shedding some light on that, Hannah. And Hannah will have more for us after the break.
Thank you. Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Welcome back. I'm Hannah Willis, your Tuesday night weather anchor. The current temperature outside is 23 degrees and it is slightly cloudy as well. The wind is 4 miles per hour, making it seem more like 17 degrees outside, and the sunset was earlier today at 5:55 in the afternoon. A look back on the day shows that following the heaviest snowfalls of the season this past weekend, Campus is covered in snow, resembling somewhat of a winter wonderland. The skies were blue outside, but it wouldn't have been a great day to eat as the picnic tables were also covered in snow. This didn't stop students from bundling up and making their way to class, though. All right, now a look into tonight's lows. We see things will cool down on the East Plains side of the state, with Burlington reaching 14 degrees and things along the I-25 corridor ranging in the 20s to the high teens. Fort Collins is going to reach up to down to 17 degrees tonight, and Grand Junction will be on the warmer side at 39. Going into tomorrow's highs, we see things along the I-25 corridor warming up, with Pueblo almost reaching a high 60. I wish I was down there. And Fort Collins reaching 38 degrees, so a little bit warmer. Burlington will be on the cooler side again at 40 degrees, and over in Grand Junction in the mountains, we see things will be 55 over there. Now going into tomorrow's highs, we see a nice little warming up from today. The temperature will reach 38 degrees and some clouds will move in the skies as well. The wind will pick up slightly at 7 miles per hour, and we'll see an increase of humidity at 74 degrees. The sunset tomorrow will be a few minutes later at 5:57 in the afternoon. Now looking ahead on the week, we see some more snow is expected tomorrow, a slight chance, less than 1 inch of accumulations. And then things will warm up later in the week, with Thursday and Friday reaching the 50s and Saturday reaching 45 as well. Thanks for tuning in to weather. Up next, Tara and Rachel give you a little bit about baseball and tennis. Thank you.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back from the break, Grams, into another week of Double Take. I'm Tara Barrow, joined by Rachel Hallam, who is filling in for Jessica Mendoza this week. Thanks for joining me, Rachel.
Of course, Tara. Thanks for having me. Tennis and baseball had quite a busy weekend. Tara, let's start with baseball.
What a weekend it was for the CSU baseball team as they took on Williston State Tetons this past Thursday and Friday. On day one, the teams traded games, both winning one. In game one, the Rams weren't holding back and came out on fire, winning 10-8. But in game two, the Rams weren't able to find the heat they were bringing in game one and fell to the Tetons 4-0. But on Friday, things turned around for the Rams as they took control and picked up 2 more wins. The first game on day two was tough for the offense for both teams. The first run came in the 3rd inning for the Rams, but the Tetons answered back in the 6th, tying up the score 1-1. Going into the 7th, the Rams fended off another offensive stance against the Tetons. Then, with 2 outs and a man on third, CSU caught a lucky break on a dropped 3rd strike, and a batter ran to first. The catcher tried to throw him out, but accidentally hit him in the back, which opened up the Rams to score the man from third in an exciting victory 2-1. The cold definitely played an effect in game 2 on Friday. Both teams were teeing off with both scoring 5 runs in the top and the bottom of the first. Right after that, the Rams were able to put up 6 more runs and managed to hold the Tetons from scoring any more. After 5 innings, the umpire called the game while the Rams were up 11-5. Due to the cold weather, the Rams took the series 3-1.
The weather also affected the CSU women's tennis team when they moved their match indoors to the Country Club, the Rams' first host, Drake. On Saturday, CSU swept through their matchups, finishing 4-0 against the Drake Bulldogs. Stella Cliff and Emily Calbo started the match on the right foot for the Rams with a 6-4 win over the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs were quick to answer with a 6-3 win over the Rams. However, Riley Reeves and Alyssa Grijalva were able to take down their opponent for a 7-6 victory, gaining the doubles points for the Rams. CSU would continue their hot streak as Cliff, Nancy Ghanem, and Emily Luschwager would all defeat their Drake opponents in their singles match, resulting in a 4-0 victory for the Rams. The following day, the women's took on the University of Texas El Paso Miners. The Rams won their first doubles match with Alyssa Grijalva and Riley Reeves crushing their UTEP opponents in a 6-2 win. However, the Rams would then go on to fall short to the Miners in their following 2 doubles matches. With 2 losses in doubles, the Rams needed to fight hard in their single games. Nancy Ghanem went on to win her first 2 sets with ease over Kathleen Piercegona, and adding a second win to the Rams matchup. After having to go into her 3rd set, the CSU junior Stella Cliff was able to overcome the hard-fought matchup against Vanessa Valdez. Later that day, the Rams were able to take the win home after both Alyssa Grijalva and Emma Corwin took down the Miners each in the 3rd set in their singles matchup against the Miners. The Rams would finish the day 5-2 over the UTEP Miners. The team will stay on their home court this Thursday when they will be taking on UNC Greensboro at 1 in the afternoon.
What a great weekend it was for the Rams. The CSU men's basketball team is currently taking on Utah State Aggies from the Mober Arena, and the current score is 10-12. Utah State ahead. Be sure to keep up with all the updates from our sports Twitter account with _CTV Sports. Well, Ram fans, it's time for this week's Disrupted Picks. We sent out a tweet today asking what you would like to hear us talk about for this week. Rachel, will you do the honors?
Of course. Now, our question today comes from Lindsay Amundsen. The NFL and NBA are the only organizations that restrict a player from going pro until a certain period out of high school. Should they keep the restrictions or allow players to choose when they go? What do you think?
Well, I think this is a very controversial topic, especially considering you can draft out of the MLB can draft out of high school, and so can hockey. So I think the huge argument for everyone is why can they do that and not these 2 leagues? And my personal opinion, I believe that I think they should keep the restriction, and I'll say why. First, when you're coming out of high school, you're not physically and mentally mature enough, I feel, especially for these 2 sports, especially football being a very contact sport.
For sure.
And I will say the thing for the MLB and for NHL is you have farmer leagues. So you have teams when you're drafted out of high school, you're not just getting to the top league, you have teams to build up on. And football doesn't have that. Once you're drafted to football, you're on the main team. I mean, you could be on their practice team and stuff and may not be getting all that time, but you're not maturing yet. And that's why I think it's super important for those people for the athletes to get the 4 years in college to play and to develop as mature athletes.
Yeah, I have to agree with that too. I do believe that time in college is very important to that person, getting them to that pro level, but at the same time, I kind of consider it a very circumstantial discussion because I feel like it definitely depends on the player and where they're at, like you say about their maturity level and everything like that, but it definitely does depend on how experienced they are in the sport and if they really do need that time, because there could be a time during that period where they're in college that they can get injured and possibly ruin their future careers or even contracts that they could possibly get later on.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I like how you mentioned they could get injured in college, but I mean they could get injured and getting drafted out of high school too, which could really affect anything.
For sure.
And I think if you're drafted, if the NFL and the NBA dropped the restriction and you could draft someone out of high school, I think that almost will ruin a kid's career because you also have to consider financial. Do you think like an 18-year-old can handle a $300,000, $400,000 contract and be able to be responsible with that kind of money at 18 years old? I mean, I'm sure there's athletes who could do that, but the rating of that actually being a consistent thing for all 18-year-olds is, I believe it's unlikely.
Yeah, for sure. And back to your point about the MLB and everything, definitely allowing for them to be drafted outside of high school and stuff like that, it does affect those players in that position too, because since the NBA won't allow them to be drafted directly out of high school, some of them are getting pushed towards sports like MLB, and that might not necessarily be the one that they really want to focus on as a pro and really get that experience for them. They might want the NBA experience, but because of the timing and everything, they're going to go towards sports like the MLB because they'll let them go.
Yeah. Well, Rams, that's all we have for you tonight, and thank you for joining us this week. The Ram fans, Sally, that is all we have for you tonight. But for more sports news throughout this week, head to thecollegian.com or follow us on Twitter at sports_CTV. I'm Tara Barrio.
And I'm Rachel Hallam. Don't go anywhere because coming up next, Justin Rios has an exclusive interview with Lindsay Paricio from the Arts and Science exhibition. Stay tuned.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Welcome back from the break. I'm your travel guide, Justin Rios, here to guide you through your Tuesday entertainment fill. Traveling the world may be on some of our bucket lists, mine included. Although it may take a while to fly from Colorado to, say, Italy, there is something every year that brings the world together. The 65th Annual World Unity Fair happened this past weekend at the Laurie Student Center, representing over 30 cultures and nationalities from both CSU and the Fort Collins community. People from all over the ballroom were singing, dancing, and tasting food from different cultures, almost like traveling around the world. The World Unity Fair was free and open to the public and equipped with a talent show, culture booths, games, and an international bazaar. If you're a regular of the show, you know I cannot with science classes. Physics is the worst. I don't need math to know that if I drop something, it's going to fall. However, if you're more into art, then there's no need to crack open that chem book and remember what covalent bonds are or atomic numbers when you have art to show it off for us. The 11th Art and Science exhibition opened early last week downstairs in the LSC, combining art and science in one creative juxtaposition. The exhibit makes the connection between scientific research and artistic design through the many pieces on display. Artists displayed a wide array of style to show the bond between art and science, like using ropes to illustrate DNA segments and organic molecules, creating a beautiful starry night.
I just love seeing how it portrays with all the other artists in here and seeing the way my science may look in art, but then how it portrays in their art as well. So it's just cool seeing all the different aspects represented. I love it.
According to the College of Natural Sciences website, the next Art and Science exhibit is in 2021. This Art and Science exhibition, however, is open until Tuesday, March 26th in the LSC. Movies have the power to make us feel. Whether the audience laughs, gets mad, or cries, whether you enjoyed watching something or not, you will always remember how you felt in that moment. The 7th Annual Film Festival coming to CSU this Friday, March 8th, features short films that aim to reframe disability. The films shown talk about people living with disabilities to spread awareness about the trials and tribulations of the day-to-day life, with sprinkling some humor in those serious life moments. Doors open at 5:15 in the evening, with the show starting at 6. You can get your tickets at arclc.org/film. I'm sure you've heard the phrase Fort Collins has bipolar weather. Now, I will admit, I'm of the same opinion. It seems as if weather here can't decide between staying sunny or cold. If you're near the Morgan Library at CSU, you have likely seen students huddling near the new fireplace. What was once barren space is now rests a place where students can warm up from the frost outside. The secret is, it's not even real fire, it's water vapor and LED lights. and a bunch of science mumbo jumbo that I really don't understand and find not knowing. Let's just hope this means we can one day get more parking lots for students on campus. Sorry about that. We've reached the end of my segment. From all of us here in the studio, I want to thank you and for tuning into CTV tonight. CTV Local Beats is up next tomorrow evening, same time, same channel, with the people you know. Stay warm and see you around, Rams.